Welcome to the Geek, the History Geek. I'm Mr. Hodges. Imagine being given a test question or a trivia question that asked this: what was the first constitution and government that the United States operated under? Do you know the answer? Believe it or not, most Americans cannot answer this simple question. So stay with me as we explore this fascinating topic. When the British marched on Lexington and Concord in April of 1775, few would have predicted that that event would mark the beginning of the Revolutionary War and the end of British control of their American colonies stretching from New England to Georgia. By May of 1775, the Second Continental Congress had convened, and its representatives had placed all of the colonies in a state of defense. Following the Battle of Bunker Hill in June of 1775, it became evident of the level of resolve of the British Crown to bring the colonies to their knees. Events would eventually lead to the Declaration of Independence being issued in July of 1776. So that's it, right? I mean, we're free? Yes and no. To become a new colony, we had a lot of work to do. There were many looming questions and problems, such as, well, who will make the decisions? And, well, what are the rules to be followed? And who will be in charge? The Second Continental Congress and the colonies would grapple with these issues as they attempted to fight a war against the strongest military power of that time. Following the June 1776 Independence Resolution by Richard Henry Lee of Virginia, the Second Continental Congress, in addition to a committee to write the Declaration, had also created a committee to determine the new government of the colonies, soon to be states. Consisting of one representative from each colony, they worked to create the first government. John Dickinson, the delegate from Delaware, was assigned to be the principal writer, and his draft was presented to the Second Continental Congress on July 12, 1776. By November 15, 1777, after 16 months of debate, the Continental Congress had adopted the first Constitution of the United States, called the Articles of Confederation, and sent them to the states to be ratified. The states were given a deadline to make them official within 3 months so that they would be ratified by March of 1778. Unfortunately, a major disagreement over land claims delayed the final ratification of the Articles of Confederation. Nearly 4 years overdue, they were finally ratified for use in March of 1781, with the final ratification vote being made by Maryland. While under the Articles of Confederation, we took our first steps as a nation and had several important accomplishments. During this period as a nation, we conducted the last 2 years of the Revolutionary War. We negotiated the Treaty of Paris of 1783 to end the war and completed 2 giant pieces of legislation, the Land Ordinance of 1785 and the Northwest Ordinance of 1787, to determine the fate of the Western lands. Unfortunately, due to all the problems the states had faced with Britain, the government had many flaws. Out of the fear of possible abuse of power, there was no executive branch, no judicial branch. The government could not tax, and it could not control trade. Because of this, it could not govern efficiently, nor could it pay its debts. In 1783, this led to a near mutiny by the Continental Army stationed at Newburgh, New York, because they had not received their pay. This was only ended through the efforts of George Washington. However, only 3 months later, Congress was forced to flee from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, due to Pennsylvania troops storming the Capitol and demanding to be paid. The Articles of Confederation, by any measure, was failing as a national government. However, the problems would only continue to build. In fact, in less than 5 years after the Articles of Confederation were ratified, many of the Founding Fathers were beginning to think that a system where the states had the majority of the power was totally inadequate to govern the nation. Since it was a confederacy where the states had all the power, the national government could not make the states honor their national obligations. Throughout 1785 and into 1786, the country's economic instability due to the weaknesses of the Articles of Confederation was becoming obvious. An attempt was made in May of 1786 by Charles Pinckney of South Carolina to amend the Articles of Confederation. Pinckney's committee made recommendations for amendments and presented these to the Articles of Confederation Congress. However, the Congress did not act on these recommendations because they felt they would not gain the necessary support of all 13 states at that time. In September, another attempt to revise the Articles was made at Annapolis, Maryland. The convention was poorly attended. Only 5 states were there for the intended meeting, and 4 more arrived late. Connecticut, Maryland, South Carolina, and Georgia chose not to attend despite the many apparent problems. Since the Articles of Confederation required all 13 states to revise or amend, nothing could be done. During September of 1786, the economic problems became a major issue in the state of Massachusetts, as Daniel Shays, a former captain in the Revolutionary War, led a rebellion against his state of Massachusetts. The inability to pay taxes to the state was leading to the loss of farms by veterans and non-veterans. This led to a rebellion against the Massachusetts government. In addition, disputes between the states over territory, war pensions, taxation, and trade were beginning to threaten to tear the young United States nation apart. In February of 1787, another call was made again to the states for a revision of the Articles of Confederation. This time, 12 of the 13 states met in Philadelphia. Rhode Island did not attend, and therefore the attending delegates could not even begin their work to revise the Articles. A decision was made by the states in attendance that the situation was so dire that it warranted them moving on without Rhode Island and abandoning the Articles of Confederation. Over the next 3 hot summer months, and often through equally heated debates, a new government was hammered out. This government addressed all the weaknesses of the Articles of Confederation. Many states were still apprehensive about the major changes and feared the government did not sufficiently protect people's rights. To address this issue with the new Constitution, a Bill of Rights was created and sent to the states for ratification during its first congressional session so that the individual liberties could be stated and protected. Today, as citizens, we are often critical of our government. However, I would argue that our government is doing exactly what it was designed and meant to do. It was meant to balance the powers of the different branches, the different political positions, and even the power between the federal government and the states. The fact that the Constitution has stood for over 230 years is a testimonial to the flaws of the Articles of Confederation and to the hard work of those men that framed our Constitution. So, why recognize a document that created a failed government? Why recognize a document that led to so many problems and instability? Since the creation of the Articles of Confederation in November of 1777 and its eventual ratification, it helped to lead this country through a war and uncertainty, and it helped the United States take its first steps. I also believe that it was important because of its many flaws and the problems that they created. It helped 13 very young states take a leap of faith, despite its memories of past abuses by the British government, to create a new, stronger national government. It helped those states realize that they had to unite and come together even more as a nation, or risk losing everything that many of the soldiers of the Revolutionary War had fought and paid the ultimate price for, and that we as a nation had fought for. The gift of our own nation and the blessings of freedom itself. So now you know a little bit about the origins and history behind our very first Constitution and government of the United States of America. I encourage you to share this video and the facts you have learned with the people that you know. There is so much more to learn about this famous document that I urge you to research it for yourself. As always, if you like this video, I would encourage you to share it with others, and please vote for more history by giving it a like. This simple act can really help the channel out with the YouTube algorithm. I want to take a moment to thank all the people that have supported the channel by subscribing. Thank you. I would also like to urge new viewers, or those that have not yet subscribed, to please do so. It is free and is no cost to you. Be sure to click on the bell to receive all notifications for future videos. Remember, my friends, there's a lot more history left to explore. Well, that's all for now, so until the next time when I ask the question, did you know? I'm Mr. Hodges, and this is the History Geek.